Hey guys, so here is a Zoom call between me and Blaze talking about how he did his mix, the plugins he used, all that jazz. If you have not downloaded the tracks for Beat My Mix 2, they're from Blackbird Studio D of a rock band called The Milestones. It's an awesome song, awesome sounding tracks. Get those in the description down below. There's a link to download those tracks. Also, if you're on my email list, I've been sending out those links to download those tracks already. You can get them through that. So let's check out what Blaze had to say. Cool, man. Well, so tell me a little bit about how you started your mix. Yeah, your frame of mind, what you're looking for, all that stuff.
If you think about it from the mixing perspective, like you have your main focus, your main elements, and you have background elements,
Yeah.
supporting elements, the stuff you can't really hear, and then the ear candy. I call it the zone of focus. I can't really take credit for that name
Mm.
because it's someone else uses that same term.
Yeah.
Because so if you approach it from the zone of focus, you start from the loudest element. Depending on the genre, it could be pop vocals, or if you're working pop, it could be vocals. It could be kicks, or if you're doing rock, or it really just depends on the genre, honestly. But getting back to your actual question, sorry, I'm veering off
You're
topic a little
good. No,
bit.
you're doing good, man. I put you on the spot, so don't worry about it too much, and I'll edit if we get out of line too. But yeah, I think everything you're saying is cool, so it's interesting. So keep going.
Yeah, so I load up this mix. I listened back and I thought, okay, I got a feel for the song. I defined a couple things in my head. It's like, okay, what genre would I call this? And in
Hmm.
my brain, I interpret it as, kind of like an indie alternative rock kind of thing. So it's like, okay, so that changes the rules of the game for me because I'm going to approach this differently than I would say your typical modern alternative heavy rock song or heavy metal song.
Yeah.
But regardless of the genre, I usually try and start with drums and bass
Hmm.
because because weak and wimpy drums for me are a pet peeve because
Yeah.
let's face it, they're the backbone, the heartbeat of the song. If you have weak drums, you can have the most insane guitars, the most insane bass, the best vocals, and if you have nothing pounding away in unison with them, you have no groove, you have essentially no song.
Yeah. Yeah.
My approach to mixing, and I can't take credit for this, I learned this from a different producer.
That's
I
cool.
use a lot of, what's that?
That's cool. Well, I guess is there any resources you've been using for learning, for on like YouTube or whatever, like any channels that you I don't know where you're learning this stuff from? Any place?
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you what channels are you watching? What do you recommend?
Um, I'm a part of an online mix academy called URM, Unstoppable Recording Machine. I've been a part of that for the past several years.
Hmm.
That's really taken my skills a lot higher than they were prior to joining. I mean, prior to joining URM, I was already doing music for like 10 years or 11 years or so.
Yeah.
But URM focuses a lot on letting people virtually sit in and see how, the high level pros are mixing, songs for, let's say, Papa Roach or any
Hmm.
modern rock or metal band, basically.
Okay.
There's Q&A. It's like an absolute, a true gold mine. And I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not. There's no
Yeah.
payment involved. So this is just my honest opinion.
That's cool though. Yeah.
It's been a phenomenal resource.
That's great. Yeah. The with just putting up these tracks and all that stuff and I think around 68 people downloaded the tracks for this. Only 8 people submitted mixes though, which
I
is
saw.
yeah, that's interesting. But like I guess I'm thinking about doing some kind of community and I'm not like a top level mixer. I mean, I do it's my job and stuff, but
Yeah,
um I think for me it's cool. What's been cool is having everyone submit mixes. I'm giving feedback. I think it would be cool to have a community where we are doing feedback and everybody's kind of where it's not just me giving feedback, it's everybody, it's constructive. There's, no trolls, no hate, you know what I mean? That type
oh
of
yeah.
thing. But a place where that's what I'm thinking about doing is making it where we get better together, all that stuff.
I
Uh,
think that would be great. I mean, you've just by doing this, you've already created like the bare bones for a community of having, inviting people to mix a song, and you're providing value by, giving out prizes and offering feedback and taking the
yeah.
time to create a community and interact with people on a one-on-one basis.
Yeah, it's been a really cool experience. I wish I would have done it sooner, but I'm glad I'm doing it now, so that's cool.
Absolutely.
So how did you approach samples in like EQ and I don't know, drum bus? Did you do any drum bus stuff like parallel compression, any of that stuff?
I didn't do any parallel compression, but let's see. Do you want to do any screen sharing for this or
Yeah,
no?
yeah, that would be awesome, actually. Let me
Okay.
make it where you can share your screen. You should be able to share your screen now.
All right, let's see. Select window or screen, entire screen. Allow. All right. Can you see my screen?
I can see it. Cool.
Awesome. So if you couldn't tell, I'm using FL Studio. Ha ha ha. I know
Yeah,
there's always
that's
trolls
cool.
out there that hate it.
Yeah.
Let's see. Drum bus.
People make a lot of good music out of FL Studio.
They
Like,
really do.
yeah, I try not to, I don't care about DAWs. I mean, like, I think they do a job. It's just a tool, you know? Um,
That's exactly it. I mean, FL Studio got a lot of hate in the past because it was, geared towards, EDM producers, and they kind of got a bad rap for a while, but now it's honestly catching up to, DAWs like Reaper and Cubase and other things
mhm.
like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of people making very successful music out of that, which is
Absolutely.
that's all that matters at the end. If you're making good music, who cares what DAW it is?
Honestly, that's it. Like, if
Yeah,
it works for you and it works for your brain, your workflow, I say freaking do it, honestly.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
Like, no one's gonna listen to a killer song and be like, oh man, they made this with FL Studio, or oh man, they made this with Cubase or Ableton. It's like, man, who cares?
I didn't ask to tell people like, what's your name? I know your
My
name,
name's
but
Blaze.
yeah. What's that?
Blaze.
Blaze. All right, Blaze. Cool, man. So yeah, what you got going on here?
All right, so I'll go over the samples, I guess,
Yeah.
first. I routed let's see, use of the kick, and I also agree with this. The kick mics were a little bit of a nightmare because even though
Mhm.
some of them were aligned, several
Yeah.
of them misaligned down the road. So I just basically duplicated the one
Yeah.
that I thought worked,
Yeah.
which was, I think, the sub kick. I'm using trigger. I'm using a couple, let's see, Blaze, DF Savior kick. This was just something I sampled as my go-to kick from the Drumforge Savior pack.
Okay.
This is kind of the same thing. DF combo is just a couple of layers of kick drums that I thought worked.
Mm.
See, I'm not getting any audio from this. Do I have anything muted? No, I don't. Let me double check and make sure I have audio.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure if let me see if actually, yeah, I think I hear it.
Let me bump up my audio on this and then lower it a little bit on here.
All right. Yeah.
Are you getting any of that?
I think so.
Okay. So as you can hear, that kick is very clicky, which is, great for rock and metal. I need to tone down the clickiness in this.
Mm.
Um, so let's see here. Just using the kick stacks EQ.
Mhm.
Nothing crazy on this. Normally, if it were metal, I'd be doing a huge scoop in the mid-range area.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, I high passed around 40. I knocked out some click right here. I use DF Clip to clip my drums because I absolutely love Drum Forge's products. I think they're the best things ever.
Cool.
And
Yeah,
again,
I
no,
haven't tried
no
that.
funk. Sorry, what was that?
I haven't tried those.
I love clipping because like the thing about clipping is like you have compression
Yeah.
and emphasize the transient. Clipping
Yeah.
brings up the body of the drum and gives you more perceived loudness. And if it's a good clipper, you still maintain a healthy transient.
Gotcha. Huh. Yeah. I do clipping in but on like the bus force a little bit, like
Oh yeah.
from Arturia, but
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. I'm always looking for a new plugin.
DF Clip is great. It's been one of the best in my opinion.
Cool.
And something I just like to plug in here about it is that when you clip and you like start clipping and you push the clipper and you get this like really distorted low mid like woofy sound.
Mhm.
DF Clip you can push a little bit harder and you don't get like such an unpleasant distortion in low mids.
Okay. Cool.
That's kind of why I like it, especially for like kick drums and stuff, because like there's a little bit more leeway than you would have like any other clipper.
Gotcha. All right.
So
So, like, I mean, were you blending in samples or did you just replace everything? Which,
uh,
yeah.
I was blending in. Let's see, I'm thinking back. I think for the kick, I just completely replaced everything. And the
Yeah.
snare, I blended in. I kept some of the original. You can see I have
Mhm.
this live snare bus.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm gating just to help with some of the mic bleed.
Okay.
I kind of left a little bit in just because I think a little bit of bleed in this genre
Mhm.
emphasize the organic aspects of it.
Yeah.
and it wasn't anything super harsh or unworkable, so I just left it in. This is the snare. I just cutting out a little bit of boxiness and mud. I hate 500 hertz and snares. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Am I doing anything with Pro Q? No, I ended up not going on that.
Mm,
I've used the SSL, just
okay.
like 30 millisecond attack, super fast release.
Is this
Not really.
for? Oh, this is for your snare.
Yeah, the snare.
Okay.
I like the SSL bus comp just because I feel like it adds a nice intensity. It makes it sound like someone's essentially playing with some anger or some feeling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a little
So that's nice.
punch, slap. I don't know. It adds something. That
Absolutely.
yeah. Cool.
There's a,
What? I'm sorry. Continue.
I'm sorry, man. Go ahead.
So what about? Well, there's a couple things that stood out. One was like your effects. I thought they were cool. I gave you some feedback on that. But what I would say though is that they really did cut through the mix. Were you like compressing or EQing or what? What did you do to the effects for the
You mean
vocals?
the vocals? Let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see. $8. I'm just gating just because it's a habit. So
Yeah.
just to preface this, I have self-made presets that I load up for things, and I just have to tweak a little bit with like every instance of what I'm working on.
Okay.
That's why I have the gate here, even though I don't need it.
Yeah.
EQ,
Gotcha.
just high pass at 150, boost it a little around the mid range to get a little bit more presence.
Mm-hmm.
Gain reduction. This plugin here by Joey Sturgis Tones. I'm adding so many
No,
plugin companies.
that's great. Yeah, I've heard of
Like
that. I've never got it, but I've always heard it's a great plugin.
it's been one of the best things I've used, and like every vocalist I've worked with always loves how I mix their vocals. It's like it's essentially Joey Sturgis's chain
Hmm.
baked into this plugin. So you have I'm not going to walk the plugins like
Sure.
capabilities because it's not a sponsor or anything. I'm just showing you what I used.
No, that's great. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know. I feel like I need to get that plugin because I've always heard it's great for vocals. I've heard it's more of like or I don't know. I guess I always associate it with like metal or
Yeah,
heavier music, but I've heard it's a great plugin though.
it is. It's honestly like one of those all-in-one plugins, more or less.
Hmm. Yeah.
Just got a little de-essing.
Okay.
I limited this. Just let's see, I'm gonna knock down the volume a little bit here.
I think it's coming out of the laptop speakers, which it's okay. It just, yeah, they aren't going to get the full thing, but
Yeah.
that's okay. I think it's cool you talking about what you're using and everything.
Mhm.
Um, maybe I'll throw a clip of the song or something in if I do a separate video on this.
Yeah, sure. Vocals. This one might interest you because you were talking about how you had difficulty with the vocals.
Mm-hmm.
I use Waves linear multiband compressor, and this is basically like a dynamic EQ. So no matter,
Yeah,
if there's too much high end, it'll grab that, and if there's too much low end, it'll grab that. So that's kind of like my balancing act on the drum. No, sorry, not the drum bus, the vocal bus.
yeah.
So that kind of acts as like my main compressor to keep it all relatively balanced.
Mm-hmm.
And I basically use another limiter just to keep it all in place. Not really much gain reduction at all. A little bit of tube saturation from this, a little bit of
Okay.
mid-range control and this boosts the high end as well.
Hmm. And this is another Sturgis plugin. Um,
Yep,
yeah, yeah, that's cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
this one's
I'm sorry, continue.
it's JWBG vocals.
Okay, cool. And yeah, I use the waves, the same multiband compressor you were in the video I put out today. The main vocal had that kind of as the last plugin. Also, you did a really good job with the synth. Like
Mhm.
those were harsh at points. Like and
They were.
a lot of people dealt with, myself included, trying to de-harsh those.
Mhm.
How were you doing that? It's probably something like a multiband compressor or something, or I don't know. It's interesting to
It's
see.
it's a couple things. So like the choir pad in the beginning,
Yeah,
I just I had to make a lot of room for the vocals when they come in. I
yeah.
notched out some harshness here, made them a little bit darker. I think this played a large role.
Okay.
I was pretty aggressive with the Pultec EQ because
Mm-hmm.
something I like about Pultec EQs, even though it's not the same as the hardware unit, you can knock out the harsh harmonics and bring in smoother ones. It's kind of like the whole
Huh.
point of them, essentially, for my brain.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a cool
Um,
trick. What you're doing right there is cool. You're boosting and attenuating. I do that. I'll put it at 12K and
Yep,
cut at 10, but it's cool that you're doing the 8K, and then so yeah, that's always a nice trick to play with the upper harmonics or whatever.
absolutely.
So that's
And 8
cool.
8K was just where I found it to be super harsh as opposed to like the 5 or the 10 or whatever.
Yeah.
Did I do anything with C4? And I have an extra going on with C4, the
Okay.
C4 Waves multiband compressor.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. That I figured as much. It did. It sounded really smooth in a nice way, which my mix and everybody else I think really struggled with it, or getting it to
It's
sit in the right spot.
dude, it's so hard to tame harshness in like anything, whether it's synths, guitars, vocals, anything. So
Yeah.
you kind of got to be prepared to like pull like 20 different things out of your back pocket with stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and it's like I wish I could say that I have this as a formula that I do all the time, but sometimes it's like I just have to throw different things at it to
Yeah, of
until
course.
yeah, yeah, it's just, there's no like set this is how I do it every time, but yeah,
Right.
yeah. And every track's different. So
It
your
really is.
let's see, your effects like the delays on the vocal effects cuz I thought those were cool. I thought they really cut through the mix.
Sure. Vocal delay is really nothing special.
Just
Just
H delay.
yeah, I'm just using H delay. That was the
Yeah.
setting. Nothing crazy. I thought a 16th note dotted delay. I believe that's a dotted. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know why it's at 120, even though the tempo is 92, but it worked, so I'll take it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Um, let's see, lead vocal. Yeah, it's just that's the vocal delay, and then for the reverb on the vocal bus, just using Fab Filter Pro R.
Okay. Yeah.
This is my go-to. That worked for me, so I just stuck with that.
Cool. All right, man. Well, I thought it was a really good mix. It definitely stood out as I'm
Mhm.
listening to multiple ones, and then yeah, it's made me better too, listening to everybody else's mix and kind of seeing like there's just definite trouble spots that everyone had, and
Mhm.
you smoothed some of them out, and then had some really punchy drums that stood out,
Uh,
and I think the low end was good too. Are you mixing in
mhm.
the room you're in?
Yes.
Is it in headphones and everything, or?
No. Untreated room.
Yeah, me too. I mean, yeah, I've got treatment that I'm building, but yeah, I'm mixing an untreated room. I use this
Yeah.
Arc 2 plugin that does room correction that's kind of nice.
I've
Um,
tried some of those. They're really good when you can get them to like configure properly and you get everything set.
yeah, but cool, man. Well, I really appreciate doing this, submitting a mix, and then yeah, I mean, it's a small prize, but you know, the next one's going to be pretty cool, I think. Or the tracks are out now, and
Mhm.
yeah, it's a baby audio bundle for
Yeah, I
their.
saw.
Yeah, that's going to be
Honest,
cool.
sorry, go ahead.
No, no, go. What were you going to say?
I was gonna say, honestly, it's like, I'm just appreciative that I won.
Yeah,
I'm, grateful that you liked it and wanted to do the Zoom call and see how I mixed it and all that stuff. So I mean,
yeah,
it's a small prize in one way, but it's like it's still a thrill, just to have, and then I got to meet you. It's just,
yeah,
building contacts and networking stuff like that is a thrill.
yeah, man. I mean, it's been really cool, and it's well worth. I also the runner up. I did a $25 Sweetwater card just to like give them something,
Yeah, of
and
course.
the other thing that was cool is that people were because there was such a I think I'm only going to run it for a week this time, but
Mhm.
it's like people were submitting multiple mixes and making corrections, which is that's the process when you mix a band is,
Yeah.
there most mixes unfortunately are somewhere between 4 to 7 mix corrections
Oh
for
God,
me.
don't I know it? Don't we both know it?
Yeah, it's tough, right? So, yeah, it's good to get that practice of like
For sure.
continually. But did you hopefully have you downloaded the other tracks yet?
Yeah, I'm almost done with that mix too.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, that's a different story.
Mhm.
Awesome studio, and that's where I went to school was Blackbird. So
Awesome.
yeah, yeah, I had a great time there. But I actually wasn't at that session. I had a dumb day job at that point. So
Oh man, you missed out on some of the action.
yeah, yeah, I really wanted to go. But all right, man. Well, I really appreciate your time and everything, and congratulations. And yeah, I can't wait to hear your next mix.
Thank you, and I appreciate your time and this whole thing. So
Yeah,
yeah, thank you again.
you're welcome. All right, Blaze. I'll talk to you later, man.